The security monitor showed my sister Diana crying dramatically, mascara running in perfect black streams down her cheeks as she clutched a tissue. My brother Ryan stood beside her, one arm around her shoulders, his face a mask of concern. They were in the police station's interview room, and I was watching it all unfold from the security office in my apartment building, eating microwave popcorn like I was at the movies. She's been missing for 48 hours. Diana wailed to Detective Monica Rivera. Emma never disappears like this. Something terrible must have happened. Detective Rivera, a woman I'd hired as a private investigator 6 months ago before she returned to the force, kept her expression neutral. When did you last see your sister? Friday evening, Ryan said, his voice thick with fake emotion. We had dinner at her apartment. She seemed troubled. Mentioned feeling overwhelmed by life. I nearly choked on my popcorn. Friday evening, they'd come over to try to convince me to add them as beneficiaries on my new $5 million life insurance policy. When I'd refused, they'd left in a rage. Carlos, the building's security chief and my co-conspirator, shook his head. Your family is something else, Emma. Just wait, I said, watching as Diana pulled out her phone. I have texts, Diana told the detective, showing her screen. She said she was thinking about ending it all. Those texts were fascinating, considering I'd never sent them. I pulled up my actual phone, a new one I'd bought for this operation, and showed Carlos the metadata. She faked these messages using a spoofing app. But she's too stupid to realize that digital forensics will expose them in seconds. On the monitor, Detective Rivera was taking notes. Has Emma ever expressed suicidal thoughts before? All the time, Ryan lied smoothly. She's been depressed since she sold her tech company. The money didn't make her happy. I laughed out loud. Selling my app development company for $30 million at age 29 had made me ecstatic. The only thing that depressed me was discovering my siblings had been plotting to kill me for the inheritance they thought they'd get. That discovery had happened 6 months ago, completely by accident. Diana had pocket-dialed me during lunch with Ryan, and I'd heard everything. Their plan to make my death look like an accident. The research they'd done on untraceable poisons. The discussion about how to split my estate. That's when I'd started planning this sting operation. We need to file a missing person report, Diana was saying on screen. And, God, I hate to think about this, but she has a large life insurance policy. We're her beneficiaries. If something has happened to her, your beneficiaries on her life insurance? Detective Rivera asked, her tone sharpening slightly. We're her only family, Ryan said. Our parents died 5 years ago. Emma added us to her policy last month. Another lie. I'd never added them to anything. But they'd stolen my mail and forged documents to add themselves, not knowing I had cameras in my apartment that caught them doing it. The policy is worth $5 million, Diana added, trying to sound reluctant about mentioning it. With the suicide clause. I mean, if she's done something to herself, we won't get anything, but if she's had an accident or been murdered. I turned to Carlos. Did you catch that? She's already thinking about the payout conditions. Every word is being recorded, he assured me. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Rivera. They're taking the bait. Phase 2. I replied, yes. Show them the evidence. On screen, Detective Rivera's phone rang. She answered it, her face growing grave. I see. Yes, send it over immediately. She hung up and looked at my siblings. We found something. Diana grabbed Ryan's hand. Their acting was Oscar-worthy. Security footage from the Golden Gate Bridge, Detective Rivera said, pulling up a tablet. 3 nights ago, a woman matching Emma's description was seen climbing over the barrier. The footage was beautiful work. A friend who worked in film special effects had created it using a body double in dim lighting. It was convincing enough to fool anyone who didn't look too closely. Diana let out a wail that probably echoed through the entire police station. Ryan buried his face in his hands. But I saw what they were really doing, exchanging a quick, triumphant glance. We'll need to search the water, Detective Rivera said. But in these cases, bodies often aren't recovered for weeks, if at all. So she's really gone? Ryan asked. It appears so. I'm very sorry for your loss. Diana composed herself remarkably quickly for someone who'd just learned about her sister's apparent death. What about? How do we handle her affairs? The life insurance. You'll need a death certificate, Detective Rivera explained. Without a body, that usually takes time. But with video evidence of suicide, the insurance company likely won't pay out anyway. Most policies have a suicide clause. But what if she was pushed? Ryan said quickly. Too quickly. What if someone murdered her and made it look like suicide? Detective Rivera's eyes narrowed slightly. Do you have reason to believe someone would want to hurt your sister? She had a lot of money, Diana said. People knew she was worth millions. Maybe someone targeted her. We'll investigate all possibilities, the detective assured them. In the meantime, I'll need you both to come to the station tomorrow to give formal statements. After they left, Detective Rivera looked directly at one of the cameras. She knew I was watching. She gave a small nod. Phase 2 was complete. Now for the fun part. That night, Diana and Ryan met at a bar downtown. I knew they would because I'd cloned Diana's phone 6 months ago and could see every text, every call, every location. Carlos and I watched from his cousin's van parked across the street, the surveillance equipment recording everything. We did it, Diana whispered, lifting her martini in a toast. That stupid bitch is finally gone. The suicide video was perfect, Ryan agreed. Even if they never find a body, we'll argue she was murdered. Either way, we get the money. 5 million, Diana giggled. 2.5 each. I'm buying a house in Malibu. I'm going to Vegas first, Ryan said. Celebrate properly. They spent the next hour planning how to spend my money, occasionally pausing to practice their grieving faces. It was sociopathic and fascinating. You getting all this? I asked Carlos's cousin, Miguel, who was running the recording equipment. Crystal clear audio and video, he confirmed. This is better than reality TV. The next morning, Diana and Ryan arrived at the police station for their formal statements. They'd dressed in black, Diana even wearing a vintage veil she'd probably bought specifically for this performance. I was already there, sitting in Detective Rivera's office, watching the feed from the interview room. Several other detectives had joined us, all aware of the operation. Your siblings are seriously disturbed, Detective Rivera said, reviewing the bar surveillance footage. Tell me about it. They've been stealing from me for years, but I never thought they'd escalate to this. Diana and Ryan were brought into separate interview rooms. The plan was to question them separately, let them dig their own graves with contradictions and lies. Diana went first. She sobbed through her statement, claiming I'd been depressed, that I'd talked about ending my life, that she'd tried so hard to help me. She even produced a fake suicide note she claimed to have found in her email that morning. This is dated 3 days ago, Detective Rivera noted. But the metadata shows it was created yesterday. Diana's face went pale. That's impossible. Emma sent this to me. From what device? Our forensics team has all of her electronics. Her phone, I assume. The phone that supposedly went over the bridge with her? Diana stopped talking and asked for a lawyer. Ryan's interview was even more damning. He claimed I'd given him access to my bank accounts in case something happened, even producing forged documents with my signature. The problem was, he dated them for a day when I had been provably in Tokyo for a conference. Mr. Walsh, Detective Rivera said, you're aware that forging financial documents is a federal crime? Ryan also decided it was time for a lawyer. That's when I made my entrance. I walked into the police station eating popcorn, the same brand I'd been eating while watching them lie about my death. I'd dressed casually, jeans, t-shirt, very much alive and very much not at the bottom of the San Francisco Bay. The desk sergeant, who was in on the operation, loudly announced, Emma Walsh, here to file a complaint about identity theft and attempted insurance fraud. The sound that came from interview room A, Diana, was like a cat being strangled. The crash from interview room B, Ryan, was him falling off his chair. I walked past both rooms, waving at the one-way mirrors, still munching my popcorn. Then I entered the observation room, where Detective Rivera was waiting with the FBI agents who'd joined the case once it became federal. Miss Walsh, Agent Jennifer Park said, are you ready to make your statement? Absolutely, I said, sitting down and offering her some popcorn. Should we let them stew for a bit first? Through the mirrors, we could see both my siblings frantically calling their lawyers, faces cycling between pale shock and red rage. How? Diana kept saying. How is she here? We saw the video. Ryan was pacing his room like a caged animal. This is entrapment. This is illegal. Actually, Agent Park said loud enough for them to hear. Conducting a sting operation to expose insurance fraud and attempted murder is perfectly legal, especially when we have 6 months of evidence. I pulled out a thick folder and began laying out documents. Here's the surveillance footage of them breaking into my apartment to steal my mail. Here's them forging my signature on insurance documents. Here are the text messages between them planning my murder. Yes, Diana, I cloned your phone. Here's the audio from the pocket dial where you discussed killing me. And here's my favorite, the receipt Ryan kept from purchasing the poison you were planning to use. Ryan's lawyer arrived first, took one look at the evidence spread across the table, and whispered something that made Ryan collapse into his chair. Diana's lawyer wasn't far behind. After a brief consultation, Diana started ugly crying, the real kind this time. The charges, Detective Rivera announced, are conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, insurance fraud, forgery, identity theft, filing false police reports, and theft by deception. Given the amount of the insurance policy, these are all felony charges. We weren't really going to kill her. Diana suddenly screamed. We just wanted the money. We thought if she disappeared, we could claim it. So you're admitting to insurance fraud? Agent Park asked mildly. Diana's lawyer put his head in his hands. It was all Diana's idea. Ryan shouted from his room. She said Emma didn't deserve all that money. She said we were entitled to it. Throwing each other under the bus already, I commented. That didn't take long. The bail hearing was set for the next day. The judge, after reviewing the evidence, set bail at $2 million each, which neither of them had. They'd been living off credit cards and my occasional loans for years, always promising to pay me back once they made it big. The media had a field day with the story. Tech millionaire fakes own death to catch sibling fraud made headlines nationwide. My favorite was from a tech blog. Woman debugging family problems like a boss. 3 months later, at the trial, the full scope of their plan came out. They'd been planning this for over a year, slowly manipulating me to add them to insurance policies, which I never did, trying to get power of attorney, which I never gave, and eventually deciding that making me disappear was easier than waiting for me to die naturally. Diana got 15 years for conspiracy and fraud. Ryan got 12. During the sentencing, they both tried to apologize, claiming they'd never really meant to hurt me, that greed had clouded their judgment. You planned my murder for a year, I said during my victim impact statement. You sat at my table, ate my food, took my money, and plotted my death. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught. The judge agreed, adding, the calculated nature of this crime, targeting your own sister, who had shown you nothing but generosity, is particularly heinous. After the trial, I had dinner with Detective Rivera, Carlos, and the team who'd helped me pull off the sting. You know what the saddest part is? I said, raising my glass of wine. If they'd just asked, I would have helped them. I would have paid off their debts, helped them start over. But they wanted it all. Greed makes people stupid, Detective Rivera said. And stupid people make my job easier. I donated the $5 million life insurance payout. Yes, the insurance company still paid out since no fraud had actually been completed, to a charity that helps families affected by financial crimes. As for my siblings, they write me letters from prison sometimes, still trying to manipulate me into forgiveness, into putting money in their commissary accounts. I mark them, return to sender, and go on living my life, a life they tried to end for money they were never going to get. The security footage of me walking into the police station eating popcorn while they were being interrogated became a viral GIF. It perfectly captured the moment. Sometimes, the best revenge is just staying alive and letting karma do its job. And always check if your sister works in tech before trying to fake her death. We're very good at debugging problems, especially when the bugs are family.